Happy Easter, everyone. Hope that you had a great day. We actually have some news today, which is surprising. Obviously, more times than not, we're sitting here late March, early April. Nothing's really happening. Rashid Rice gets into an accident, leaves the scene, yada, yada, yada. I'm sure that almost everybody has seen it at this point. I don't really know what our takeaway should be. I don't know where this guy should be going in drafts right now. We just hopped in the $100 draft room on Underdog. So there are 4 spots left. If you wanted to get into a $100 big board with us on Underdog Fantasy, here's your shot. We got 3 spots left now. I'm going to sit here for about 30 seconds. If it doesn't fill, we will leave. Of course, I'll let you know when we're going to leave. And we instead will go get a $10 draft going on Underdog. But just in case you want to do the $100 draft with us, it's a $100 entry, $150,000 prize pool. $20,000 for first, $10,000 for second, $9,000 for third, $8,000 for fourth, $7,000 for fifth. So really flat payout structure. I mean, these are kind of the tournaments that I really like on Underdog. But however, if you are new, obviously do not be hopping in a $100 draft. And it looks like this is probably not going to fill. So we are going to leave this. And instead, we are going to go ahead and get the $10 draft on Underdog going. Now, instead, this $10 buy-in is a $2 million prize pool, so a much larger contest. Obviously, your odds of winning are significantly lower. $200,000 for first, $100,000 for second, $65,000 for third, $50,000 for fourth, $40,000 for fifth, and all the way down. So let's go ahead. Let's hop in here. There are 9 spots open in the $10 draft room on Underdog. And yes, I think the main question that we have in this draft is going to be, how far does Rashid Rice fall? Now, if I'm looking at the Rice situation, he's not only street racing and ran away from the cops, he also got in an accident and hurt some people. So, I mean, people are injured. It was a multi-car accident. It's not just he was street racing. No, this isn't a Jordan Addison. This isn't a Chris Olave situation. I mean, we have seen these guys before go out there and be reckless, be idiots, and driving 140 miles an hour out there in their Lamborghinis, which obviously nobody's condoning. That is a horrible thing. Now, also, it is a very different situation than what you maybe have with, say, like the Henry Ruggs spot, right? Where are we expecting Rice to be going and serving 25 to life? No. Okay. So it's somewhere in between the Chris Olave, Jordan Addison situations where they were dumb. They see 0 snaps missed. Nothing happens at all. And the Henry Ruggs situation where he never plays football again. Now, I have no idea where it's going to be on that spectrum. I'm not the person to be able to figure that out. Maybe we'll get a lawyer to come on the channel and kind of explain the situation that we will be looking at here. Obviously, it's difficult to know right now. If you are taking Rashid Rice, I would be drafting him at a significant discount because obviously, I mean, I think base level expectation is we are seeing some kind of suspension. But can everybody please spam the chat? How many games do you think Rashid Rice misses because of this? Now, CeeDee Lamb going off the board at wide receiver 1. Bijan going at 3 overall. Tyreek Hill off at 4. I take CMC at 1. I mean, CMC is going to have the ADP of 101. So, essentially, if you want any Christian McCaffrey exposure, you're going to have to suck it up. You're going to have to take him. What's really funny is 2 years ago when we won the $150,000 on Underdog, both teams, we won 2 tournaments that year, and both teams, I want to believe, had CMC. So, we got 6 games, 6 games, 6, 6, 4, 4, 4 to 6, 0, 0, 4, 2 to 6, 4, 4, 17. So I am surprised to see most people saying that you're not really going to see much time for Rashid Rice. I mean, I was going to assume that most people are going to almost overreact and go on the other end of the spectrum, saying that he was going to be out forever. I mean, I am always of the opinion. Y'all remember at one point last offseason when everybody was panicking about Alvin Kamara. Kamara was my most drafted running back. I mean, time and time again, these guys that people pencil in to thinking that they're going to miss so much time, yada, yada, yada. I typically go through, draft those guys at a discount. And the explanation, the reason behind it is regardless of what you think or I think should happen in a perfect world, which you can sit there and argue about, it doesn't really matter, to be completely honest, is the fact of the matter is the NFL wants the most talented players on the football field. And if that's what they want, probably what they're going to get. Okay. Now, Jonathan Taylor off the board, 15, Nico 16. We took Nico in the last draft that we did. I think we took Jefferson and then Nico Collins. I don't know if we took them at 7 and 18 or 6 and 19, but it was somewhere right around mid-round 1 and then mid-round 2. I personally would take guys like Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley ahead of Marvin and Nico Collins. Is this where Drake London's going now, ladies and gentlemen? Like I said, before Best Ball Mania launches, honestly, all the way up till the draft, I'm not really getting in a ton of underdog drafts off the live stream. I'm pretty much only doing them on the live stream until Best Ball Mania and the puppy draft start launching. Then I'm going to be going freaking nuts. So I don't know. Is this where Drake London is now being drafted with Kirk Cousins in Atlanta? Is he now a mid-second round selection? Please let me know, ladies and gentlemen, because in my mind, I'm viewing Saquon Barkley as someone that I'd way rather have over London. If they're going back-to-back, I'm probably not going to end up with much London here. Okay. Vince Steve says, what's Best Ball Mania versus Best Ball Now? Best Ball Mania is like the biggest tournament that they have. I mean, essentially, it is the tournament where if you win, I mean, GG, your life's changed forever. You're winning $3-4 million. Josh Allen off the board, 23. So we're going to go ahead. We will take DJ Moore. And then I think we may end up reaching on our next guy. I know people aren't going to like the pick. I don't really care. I think we're going to take DJ Moore, Chris Olave here. Once we go CMC round 1, we do want to come away with 2 wide receivers. And I like the price point of both these guys at the turn. The dog is begging to get in here. Let her in. You come in? What do you want in here so bad for? What do you want in here so bad for? You want to tell everybody hi? You want to tell everybody hi? Here, you can do the Underdog ad. All right. Are you ready? Have you memorized it? You've heard me say it a million times. Tell them. Say, this is Underdog Fantasy. This is where we draft every single day through the offseason. If you want to draft with us, you will have every shot to. We won $150,000 here 2 years ago. And Code Flock gets you 100% deposit match plus our Dynasty Fantasy Football rankings. Find the link in the description. Find it in the comment section. And yeah, my favorite place to draft. Their best ball, so no time commitment at all during the season. That's how we're able to get into drafts right now and not really have to worry about the teams when we get into the year. So it's the perfect spot not to replace the drafts that you were doing, but obviously just have some extra fun on the side. And yes, she is a great Pyrenees. And hopefully her ad read for y'all was nice. Cheap Guy says, killing it with the daily Iron Man vlogs. Thank you, my man. I know I am not good at vlogging. I am trying my best for you, though. Trying to stay consistent with it. After this live stream, I'll probably go through, edit the one for today. We don't have much today. We ran 20 miles or 21 miles. And I didn't really get any good shots of it, so. But, yeah. So hopefully we'll be able to put something together for you, my man. Aiden says, is Stephon Diggs a comfortable wide receiver 1? I mean, if you're looking at Diggs, obviously him going on Twitter, tweeting out, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I'm not happy here. Sounds like he just wants a contract. If you look at Vegas Sportsbooks right now, it does look like he is priced in to still be a Buffalo Bill this next season. And if Stephon Diggs is a Buffalo Bill and what should be one of the best offenses in the NFL, I am pretty confident. I don't want to say Stephon Diggs as a wide receiver 1, but for his price point here as a late second round pick, going after Brandon Ayuk, going after Drake London, going after Nico Collins, after Marvin Harrison. If Stephon Diggs ends up going back to Buffalo, I'm completely fine paying that price. Obviously, it was much worse in the second half of the season than we pretty much have ever seen him. But you have to ask yourself, so Berg says Diggs apparently played hurt all last year. This is what every NFL player always says if they had a bad season. I do not buy this whatsoever. So I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, he was hurt. Let's just completely ignore everything. But I don't know. The second half of the year with the offensive coordinator was gross. If you think he can bounce back, I think that he is a good price point here in the late second if he stays in Buffalo, which looks likely at this point. Okay. Bean Sal says, Mason, at what point do you feel comfortable drafting Carlos Hyde? I may take him at 48 if he makes it to us, my friend, but I doubt he makes it that far. Okay. And also, I know 99% of y'all will not like this, so I'm not going to send the link or anything. But if for whatever reason you are interested in checking out the daily Ironman vlogs we're doing, it's pretty much just a selfie video of me going, okay, I'm going to go run 20 miles. And then the next selfie video of, okay, I ran the 20 miles. It went good, or it went well. Just look at Mason Dodd on YouTube. It should be the first thing that pops up. Or you can just go to the account. Just hit the Flock Fantasy account page, scroll to the bottom, and you should see it there as well. Handsome says, Mason, how do you feel about the Rice News? Talked about this at the very top. I think that here, pick 34, it's interesting. I would way rather be taking like the Jalen Waddle, Michael Pittman, Sam Laporta, Josh Jacobs range of guys, like these three players that go directly before him. I would still probably rather have like the Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith pairing than the Rashid Rice, Lamar Jackson pairing. So I personally don't know if I would feel good taking Rashid Rice here in round 3. I think I'd probably need a little bit more of a discount, to be honest with you. Okay. So let's move this around. So James Cook off the board, pick 45. Rashad White, he was 46. I was honestly probably going to take Rashad White if he made it to us. Now, if Keenan makes it, obviously we're going to be taking Keenan so we can get the double stack in Chicago with DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and then Caleb Williams. Keenan ends up going. I think Zay Flowers is a super easy pick here. After Zay Flowers, I'm not really looking at Amari in this range. Instead, I think I'd probably want George Pickens, Isaiah Pacheco, Mark Andrews, or maybe throw in Rome as well. I don't think Amari is too interesting. I'd probably rather have Andrews over McBride, assuming that we end up getting Marvin going over to Arizona. But everybody spam the chat. Out of the guys that we queued up, who would you rather have for this team? So far, we've drafted CMC, DJ Moore, Chris Olave, Zay Flowers. Would you rather have George Pickens, Isaiah Pacheco, Mark Andrews, or Rome? Please spam the chat. Pickens, Pacheco, Andrews, or Rome. First vote is for Pickens. He's sitting at the top of our queue right now. I'm kind of agreeing with you. Second vote is Pickens. So it does look like George Pickens is going to be our guy, and we're going to send up a prayer that somehow Russ is able to turn this ship around in Pittsburgh. But Excel says McBride over Andrews. We got Pacheco, Pickens, Pacheco, Rome, McBride, Pacheco. Okay, y'all came in too late, okay? We already had Pickens. The first two answers were Pickens. Bean Sal's, can you explain your dislike of DK Metcalf's ADP? I'll do this very easily, my friend. Fantasy football leaders. Hollywood Brown goes 54. Obviously, Hollywood getting the bump not only based off him signing in KC, but also now the fact that Rashid Rice is a little questionable. Okay. But let's pull this up. DK Metcalf this past year, PPR points per game at 23, right ahead of Jacoby Myers. Going to 2022, DK Metcalf, points per game, 26. So high end wide receiver 3. 2021, DK Metcalf, points per game, 23. Right after Brandon Cooks, right before Calvin Ridley. So DK Metcalf over the past 3 years pretty much averaged the wide receiver 25 finish. So high-end wide receiver 3, low-end wide receiver 2. But pretty much high-end wide receiver 3 in a 12-team format. DK Metcalf's going to be a 27-year-old wide receiver this next season. There's not really a spot in which it looks like his quarterback play is about to dramatically improve. So 27-year-old wide receiver that over the past 3 years has been a high-end wide receiver 3. And I'm having to pay a third-round price tag on him. This screams how we are avoiding Terry McLaurin for years, you know? So, I don't know. So, let's see. Stone Cold Kittle says DK is a wide receiver 3 forever. I don't want to say he's a wide receiver 3 forever. It's just, like, we've seen Devonta Smith 2 years ago go out there and be a low-end wide receiver 1. Smith is a younger wide receiver at the same time. And I think I would buy a little bit more the possibility of maybe Jalen Hurts being hurt down the stretch, because he clearly was, and maybe the Philly offense taking a step forward this next season, and Devonta Smith bouncing back. In my mind, I think that's a little bit more of a reasonable expectation than DK Metcalf, who's been a wide receiver 3 over the past 3 seasons, to kind of randomly break out. Okay, Jordan Addison goes 67. I definitely would take Addison at 72. Obviously, very bad situation if you are looking at what you have in Minnesota. But at the same time, really strong prospect coming out of USC. Had a pretty damn good rookie season with everything considered. So, I mean, if you're able to get that kind of profile going into year 2, and we know we typically want to be drafting these year 2 wide receivers, you can get him at pick 67. Not nearly as exciting as I initially thought he was before Cousins went to Atlanta, but I'm still completely fine with that price point. Aaron Jones, 69. Dalton Kincaid goes 70. Okay, Montgomery goes 71. So it's an interesting spot in that we obviously have no Burrow stack here. We don't really have the shots to get a Burrow stack either, but I'm not drafting Deontay Johnson over Joe Burrow. I'm just simply not doing it. Stack or no stack, maybe this is a team where somehow Joe Burrow unstacked gets it there. Maybe Jamar Chase goes down through the first 9 weeks of the season. No teams with Jamar Chase advance. We're able to advance a Joe Burrow team through. Then all of a sudden, Joe Burrow blows up weeks 15, 16, 17. And the Jamar Chase teams didn't make it to the championship. Maybe we're spinning the story. Maybe there's no shot of it happening. I don't care. I'm not taking Deontay Johnson over Joe Burrow. And we will continue to go through and hammer in wide receivers here. We'll take Godwin. And if you're looking at wide receiver afterwards, you're going to see a massive teardrop. Like the next wide receivers that we're going to have on the clock for us, I mean, when we're on the clock again, will be Jamison Williams and Romeo Doubs. So we are going pretty heavy with the anchor RB approach here, with CMC holding the fort down for us. Wide receiver, DJ Moore, Chris Olave, Zay Flowers, George Pickens, Chris Godwin, and then quarterback, Joe Burrow. Okay. Now, Godzilla says it's pick 20, second string quarterback, or third string wide receiver running back. I am so confused with what you're asking here. It's pick 20, second string quarterback. Are you talking about from a dynasty rookie draft perspective? I'm sorry. I just have no idea what you're asking. And Lucas says, haven't heard in a while. Did all of Underdog Fantasy agree to not draft quarterbacks early? It is very interesting. I mean, because you go back 2 years ago when we won multiple tournaments on Underdog, like the winning strategy was clearly to take an elite level quarterback. I mean, we crushed drafting elite level quarterbacks. Then right afterwards, everybody realized, oh yeah, we should probably take an elite level quarterback. And if y'all remember the big board last year, you had Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts. They were all going at the end of round 1, the beginning of round 2. I didn't draft them there at all that time last year, But by the time we got to like August, they were instead going at the 2-3 turn. And at the 2-3 turn, I'm fine drafting elite level quarterbacks. But in every single one of these drafts you'll see me do, I'm going to be coming away with at minimum one quarterback before round 7. The Mahomes, Lamar, Stroud price, and I'll throw Burrow into the mix as well. The price points on those guys are phenomenal in my mind. Like going back to what we were talking about previously. I mean, obviously we're going after stacks. We're trying to build in correlation. But I don't know. I just can't get behind making like the decision to take Deontay Johnson over Joe Burrow. I just simply can't do it. BV Van says, who's the wide receiver 1 for the Chargers going into the year for Herbert? I mean, as it stands now, it's Quentin Johnston, but it's more likely than not going to be one of the big 3, right? It's either going to be Marvin, Neighbors, or Rome. I mean, at least that's what I am assuming personally. David Njoku off the board, 89. Incognito says, I have 40% Jonathan Brooks, 80 Mitchell, and Chris Olave exposure in these drafts. I will agree. I think Jonathan Brooks right now, and really all the rookie running backs, of course, it's a very bad rookie running back class. I understand. I want to come out here and say it because everybody's going to scream at me as if I'm a massive idiot if I don't just say it out loud. It's a very bad rookie running back draft class, but everybody agrees that it is. I mean, we did the research going back to the year 2014. We have never seen a rookie running back draft class be this cheap. So while it's a very bad running back class this year, it is priced in that they are the worst rookie running back draft class that we've seen over the past 10 seasons. Is that a possibility? Very much so. It could easily be true. I don't know. But if I'm looking at the price point of like Trey Benson, getting him in round 9, round 10. If I'm looking at Jonathan Brooks, getting him in round 11. I'm fine taking him there and seeing if it really is as bad as people want to believe. Okay, so let's figure out what we're doing. I'm not taking Ferguson here. I think we're pretty much locked into a running back at this point. I think we're probably going to go Javonte and Eckler. Actually, you could make an argument for us to go ahead and take Jalen Warren here, considering the fact that we have Pickens, and maybe we go through, take Jalen Warren, grab Russ at the very end of this draft. Can everybody spam the chat? Would you rather have Austin Eckler or Javonte Williams? What I'm worried about with Eckler is this a running back that the contract, was really not inspiring at all. I'm not taking Zamir White. I'm sorry. Looks like most people are saying Eckler. Now, okay. We went Eckler, and then all the Javantes came in. So I'm sorry. I was trying to listen to y'all, ladies and gentlemen. But Jonathan says, thoughts on DJ Moore? He may be top 6 this year. Okay. So with DJ Moore, y'all know I'm not a Justin Fields fan. So let's get that out of there. I was not super excited to draft DJ Moore this past year because of how bad the passing volume was expected to be in Chicago. And it was a very bad, but DJ Moore just came out and decided, I'm going to be the alpha of all alphas, and I'm going to command at some points. Y'all remember the Thursday night game, like 90% of the Chicago Bears offense. Now, with that being said, I think that Caleb Williams coming in, this Chicago Bears offense this season will be the best offense that we have seen in Chicago over the past 5 years, particularly in terms of their passing volume, their passing yards, their passing touchdowns, their passing attempts. I think it'll be the best offensive environment that we've seen in Chicago in a very long time, maybe better than any point during the Trubisky era as well. The Trubisky era for Chicago fans was a lot better than the Fields era, but I think Chicago could take that massive, massive step forward this year, which obviously, if DJ Moore were able to go through and maintain the same market share numbers that he had this past season, it would look incredible. Now, the issue that you may have is, and keep in mind, I'm saying this as someone who drafted DJ Moore here at the 2-3 turn, is Keenan Allen coming in is not necessarily a wide receiver that's similar to Gabe Davis, where he's going to stretch NFL defenses. He's going to make the offense more efficient overall. He's going to take safety attention. No, Keenan Allen's operating close to the line of scrimmage. Keenan Allen, the value he brings to an NFL team is he's going to be the guy soaking up targets underneath, moving the chains. And Keenan Allen's the perfect example of someone that hurts the other wide receivers in his same offense, because he's going to take target share while not necessarily boosting the efficiency of said offense. So I think that the market share numbers for DJ Moore will probably come down this next season. The overall offense will most likely improve. And it just comes down to how big of a gap that ends up being. Now, the wild card that you have here, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, and I'm by no means some NFL draft expert. I never claimed to be and never will. I don't want to say never will. We're young. We're 25. 20 years from now, if I've actually learned something, maybe I can. But as of now, I'm not. Is there a possibility that Chicago goes through and takes a wide receiver, pick 9? It is possible. Some people are saying if Rome falls, they're taking him at 9. If they take Rome at 9, and maybe even if they take Bowers at 9, that will just continue to eat into the target share that you should expect. So, I don't know. I'm sitting here saying that he is upside, but reasons also you should be a little bit concerned. Godzilla says, LOL, would you take a backup quarterback such as Flacco, Mariota, or White, or even both Raiders, Pittsburgh quarterbacks, or say not and get a deeper skill positional player? Oh, so the 20th rounds. When you said it's pick 20, my friend, I'm sorry. I thought you meant 20th overall. And that's why I was so confused. That's obviously my fault. If I'm looking at taking someone in round 20, once the starting quarterbacks are off the board, I'm most likely going to be going wide receiver, running back, or even tight end. I think that there are some very interesting round 20 tight ends that you could be going with, at least from what I've seen so far. But a big thing, and we talked about this last year, and it's so easy to say the strategy. It's so hard to figure out who the guys are. But essentially the winning strategy that you want to have in these underdog drafts is you want to take someone in the final round that's not really being drafted at all in the tournament, that has access to being a league-winning player. Now, of course, that was what we were trying to focus in on last year. Last year, the guy that we are drafting, we're going to take Caleb. We're going to stack him with DJ Moore. That's, an easy call to make. After that, no, I don't know. We may go Hawkinson. We're going to go Hawkinson because I'm stupid. Coming off a significant injury at the same time, questions about the overall volume that you can see of the offense with significant target competition. Obviously, all the reasons you shouldn't take him. At the end of the day, I see a tight end that I think is a stud that had 95 receptions last year, 86 receptions the year prior. Outside of his injury, he should be stepping into the prime of his career, and I'm going to take him here because I'm stupid. But anyway, going back to that final round in underdog drafts, what you want to do is take someone that nobody else is drafting, hope that he has the ceiling to win your league, a.k.a. Kyron Williams from last year, Puka from last year. Puka, people were taking around 18. Kyron Williams, not really, though. Now, we can say that's the winning strategy, and if we're not able to find the guy, then it doesn't matter, and we weren't able to find them last year, which, you can't win an underdog tournament if you didn't draft Kyron Williams last year or Puka last year, which I didn't take either. So, sadly, we were not able to run it back and win any tournaments last year. So, I would rather pull the trigger on just a random obscure wide receiver, running back, tight ends. So, the thing is, if you go through and take, I don't know what quarterback you were mentioning as your example, but you take Marcus Mariota and he ends up being the starter. Or Mike White and he ends up being the starter. If Mike White ends up being the starter, cool, you maybe got that call and cool, maybe nobody else has him, but does he win your league? Can he outscore Josh Allen? Can he outscore Jalen Hurts? Can he outscore Mahomes? No, there's no way in hell, So even if you hit on like a low-owned quarterback in the final round, it's not really helping your team. I'd rather just 3 rounds before take one of the last starters. God, I am sweating in here. It's hot, ladies and gentlemen. Do you want to go out of the room? There you go. There you go. Okay. Got the fan going. Hopefully we can survive a little bit longer. But yeah, we're going to go ahead. We'll probably still take a third quarterback since this is a 20-round draft. I really do like coming away with 3 QBs in these 20-round drafts. Obviously, it is different to take someone that is actually lined up to be a starting option, right? But, I mean, you have 20 rounds. We take Burrow at the 6-7 turn. We take Caleb at the 10-11 turn. Maybe if this was an 18-round like Best Ball Mania draft, then we go ahead and we end it here. But no, I think this is a team where it's very easy to say, okay, we're going to pull the trigger. We're going to take probably 3 quarterbacks and 3 tight ends. Okay. Jalen Wright and Shakir both off the board. I like that we can move this around. I don't know why, but our live stream was messed up. Last week where OBS wouldn't let me move anything around. Now, Jalen says Jonathan Taylor back to a top 5 running back pick. So we drafted a ton of Jonathan Taylor last year. When Jonathan Taylor had a bunch of obscurity around him, essentially what we were saying is, oh, this is a $25 buy and $3 million to first place. Let me go ahead. Let me take Jonathan Taylor at the discount. Hopefully we have someone low owned in weeks 15, 16, 17 that has access to being a running back 1 overall. So I drafted a ton of JT, and trust me, I wish I didn't, because obviously it did not work out. With that being said, we're running it back. Jonathan Taylor's price tag going next to Nico Collins. I will be taking a ton of Jonathan Taylor this year. Happy to see you, my friend. Happy to see you. Now, Cole Kmet off 139. Obviously, we would be looking to take Kmet if he would have made it to us at 144 to pair up with DJ Moore and Caleb Williams. Now, Brandon Cooks off 141. Jahan Dotson 142. I don't want to say too much here. I think it's probably obvious. Or we're looking at, I'm honestly, I don't want to say anything until we know there's a big enough flag. Quentin Johnson goes, I'm honestly surprised Marvin hasn't been steamed up a little bit more than this. I figured once you had Judy traded, people would get a little more excited about Marvin Mims here. I mean, obviously it's a very bad offense, but typically we want to be drafting those year 2 wide receivers. We saw that he has big play upside. And we're going to be going with Pat Freiermuth here as well, because, I mean, going back to what we were looking at with this team, this is a roster where we are, for whatever reason, setting up a prayer when we take Pickens in round 5, Jalen Warren at the 8-9 turn, and now Pat Freiermuth in round 13. We are setting up a prayer that Russ is somehow, some way able to get back on track and turn it around in Pittsburgh. Now, is that a guarantee? No. Is it likely? No. Now, is it likely we turn $10 into $200,000 here in this draft? No. So, kind of have to see something that's unlikely turn out to be true if you are going to win. Okay. Now, Ron says, I don't know about you, but I love Breece Hall. I mean, yeah, Breece Hall is obviously locked and loaded and being around 1 pick. Thoughts on Nico as a keeper? I mean, Nico Collins right now being drafted round 2. I think pretty much everybody's really excited about Nico. How do we feel about King Henry over the Ravens? Feels kind of like a decoy to me. It's very interesting. I think it's a natural fit because, I mean, if you look at what Derrick Henry does to win, it's being an efficient running back and winning by hounding the rock and not necessarily winning by getting dump offs out of the backfield, right? Like if we saw Austin Eckler go over to Baltimore, I would absolutely hate it because we know that Lamar Russian quarterbacks can have a lower check down rate than what you're going to see with those pocket passing options. So if you were looking at, say, an Eckler going over to Baltimore, I think it'd be gross. Because what Lamar does is he provides efficiency to the other running backs. I don't want to say other running backs, to the running backs in the Baltimore Ravens offense. Because when he goes to hand the ball off, the opposing linebackers have to freeze. They can't crash down because it's not like the only options are going to be play action or pass. No, it's going to be play action, pass, or Lamar can tuck it and run it himself. So typically you see running backs in Baltimore at the very top of the NFL in yards per carry for that reason, and obviously a multitude of others. I mean, J.K. Dobbins leads the NFL in yards per carry his rookie season. Gus Edwards that same year, top 5 in yards per carry. We see it pretty much year in and year out. So I think Derrick Henry is going to be a super efficient running back there in Baltimore this next season alongside Lamar. But the question is, can you bet on a running back that's going to be like 31 years old, right? I am always out on these older running backs. We're typically always out. Derrick Henry is 30 years old, turned 30 back January 4th. So, I mean, at the very end of the season, he will be 31. But what's funny is if you look at Derrick Henry, he led the NFL in carries in 2019. He led the NFL in carries in 2020. In 2021, he had 219 carries in 8 games and got hurt. So he was easily on pace to lead the NFL in carries in 2021. He led the NFL in carries in 2022. He led the NFL in carries in 2023. So we can look at all the historical data in the world and say, okay, running backs at this age, they fall off. They're not guys that you can trust. And we can also say Derrick Henry's a unicorn, and maybe the historical data doesn't line up with him one for one. Now, where does he go in this draft? He goes 42. I would rather, the guys that go ahead of him in Josh Jacobs, Travis Etienne, I would easily rather have Travis Etienne and Josh Jacobs ahead of Derrick Henry. So, I mean, I feel like, I don't want to say Derrick Henry's a massive avoid in round 4. But I definitely would not make an argument that he should be going higher than this. If I'm on the clock, I'd rather have the elite quarterbacks in Mahomes and Lamar. I'd rather have the other running backs in Etienne and Josh Jacobs in this range. Not saying he's a bad pick there by any means. As a Henry versus Cook, White, Pacheco, I think is really up to you. But if someone make an argument for Henry over Jacobs or Henry over Etienne, I would be adamantly on the other side. Okay. Let's smooth this over. Marshawn Lloyd off the board at 164. Where's Russ's ADP? Okay, Russ has an ADP of 200. So, yeah, we can get Russ on the way back around. Kate Otten goes 166. Levis goes 167. We're going to take Miller just from an ADP perspective. I mean, obviously, I'm going to do like 200 of these underdog drafts. So any chance I get, and I know this sounds dumb and y'all aren't going to want to hear it. Any chance I get to take a player who falls 15 picks past ADP, I'm going to go ahead and do it. We probably need a running back. We only have CMC, Jalen Warren, Austin Eckler at this point. Outside of this, running back is just so gross looking at everybody else. We actually may go Gibson. We may just go back-to-back top of ADP here. Elijah Mitchell was somebody that I liked last year, and obviously it turned out to be just the worst call ever. I'm actually going to go Wan'Dale. No. I don't know if we should have gone Wan'Dale or Gibson. Gibson's had the receiving volume over the past 3 years. Obviously, New England with no Belichick, they don't really have, super strong ties and really strong commitments to Ramadre. I'm definitely expecting Ramadre to be the guy, right? But it's not necessarily like it's just an absolute guarantee here. I just like Wan'Dale as a prospect coming out. This is someone that absolutely dominated market share numbers his final year as a true junior. Gets to the NFL level, flashes a rookie, tears his ACL. This past year, goes out, has a decent season, and what's probably I mean, the worst or one of the worst offenses in the NFL. So I like the story of Wan'Dale Robinson. I don't know if we should be taking him over Antonio Gibson. Gibson maybe should be the play, though. Okay, so Trey says, which one of the running backs behind Henry would you rather have him over? I don't know. I think, that, like I said, Henry belongs in that range of those year 3 backs. I'm just there says, agreed, Russ will be a backup, then probably traded. Russell Wilson is more, I don't know if someone else in the chat was saying Fields is the starter. I think Russ is most likely the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers this next season. Now, is that to say that Russell Wilson should be drafted ahead of Justin Fields? No. Because obviously Justin Fields is significantly more rushing upside. So, I mean, if you look at both players, say, let's go through a hypothetical situation. Say Russell Wilson 75% of the time is the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Justin Fields 25% of the time. We're just talking about probabilities here. So if we play out this season, say 100 times, 75 of those times Russ is the starter, and 25 of those times Fields is the starter. You can still make a pretty compelling argument that Fields should be drafted ahead of Russell Wilson. Because if Fields starts in Pittsburgh, he will be viable from a fantasy football perspective based off rushing upside. Whereas even if Russ wins the starting job in Pittsburgh, it is still very much possible, more likely than not, that he's not even viable in fantasy football. So my base expectation is Russ is the starter ahead of Fields. Who would I rather have in Dynasty? Who would I rather have in Best Ball? Give me Justin Fields, just based off the fact that if he were to be the starter, he's the guy with the upside. But I don't know. Please let me know. Spam the chat. Who do you think is the starting quarterback in Pittsburgh? Do you think it is Justin Fields or Russell Wilson this next season? Okay, let's swing this back around. Russ, Fields, Russ. Russ gets 8 games. Fields will take over. Russ will start but may not end. Russ to start, Justin to take over. So it looks like that's probably the most common sentiment that everybody here in the chat has. I mean, I do want to say, even if I'm not a Justin Fields guy, even if I'm not a Russell Wilson guy, I don't necessarily like either quarterback individually. I think Pittsburgh was very smart to take the shot on both guys, where you're paying $1 million for Russell Wilson. You're paying a 6th-round pick to Justin Fields, neither with long-term commitments. And essentially saying, okay, no idea what's going to happen, but if any of y'all turn out to be good, which probably won't happen, but great, we pay nothing to get you. And if both of y'all are very bad, then cool. We don't have long-term commitments to either of y'all, and we can address the quarterback position in 2025. So for the situation that Pittsburgh was in, I think they honestly, in my mind, made a great move. Okay. Keaton Mitchell goes Rashad Bateman off the board, 189. Okay. So far, quarterback, we have Burrow, Caleb. Running back, we have CMC, Jalen Warren, Austin Eckler, Condre Miller. Wide receiver, we have DJ Moore, Olave, Zay, Pickens, Godwin, Marvin Mims, Wan'Dale. Tight end, we have Hawkinson and Freiermuth. So, I mean, like we said, with this team, the way it went, we've put ourselves in the position where we kind of need to take Russ here. And I think we also may take Miles Sanders as our RB5. Yes, Miles Sanders is very bad. Yes, Miles Sanders got benched last year. He looked horrendous. But so did everybody in Carolina. And he does have a contract which dictates that he will be a Carolina Panther this next season. So let's do it. And Stone Cold Kittle says, can still get a Cincy stack with Tyler Boyd. Unless I'm mistaken, Tyler Boyd's still a free agent. Can please let me know if I'm wrong in the chat. I mean, if I am wrong in the chat and Tyler Boyd re-signed with Cincinnati, then 100% it's the worst decision ever for me to take Miles Sanders over him. But my understanding is Tyler Boyd, still a free agent, has not signed. Please let me know in the live chat if I'm wrong. And I do want to say that if Daniel Jones ends up being the starter for the Giants this next season, which looks very much possible, considering the fact, I mean, they may be boxed out of getting anybody in the draft. He has some rushing upside. I think Daniel Jones is a completely fine pick here. I mean, I actually like it. Okay. Incognito says he's a free agent. Yeah, if he's a free agent, we're chilling. If he has re-signed with Cincinnati, like I said, I'll be the first person to admit that was a horrendous pick for me to take Miles Sanders instead. But to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, I still need to finish our vlog from today. I still need to go spend a little bit of time with the girlfriend and her family for Easter. So we're probably going to be wrapping this up here. Of course, I'll finish this draft off on my phone, but appreciate you. And yeah, thank you so much for everything. I want to reiterate a couple things. One, we're going to be drafting here all off season. It's best ball, so no time commitment at all during the year. Not going to replace anything that you already have going on. Just a little bit of extra fun on the side, right? I mean, you're not leaving your dynasty league because you're getting in an underdog draft by any stretch of the imagination. And yeah, if you wanted to hop in a draft with us, you can find that link in the description in the comment section of live chat. Code FLOCK will get you hooked up with 100% deposit match. Plus, you will get set up with our Dynasty Fantasy Football rankings. And there's no better way that you can support the channel. And also, we did launch that vlog. I'm not going to grab a link for it. I mean, if you really wanted to watch it, all you got to do is look up Mason Dodd on YouTube. We're just covering what we're doing pretty much every single day leading up into our Ironman Nice race. So the race is like 78 days out. So we're going to try to vlog every day over the next 78 days. Super short, like 3 to 4 minutes. We are going to be talking zero fantasy football. So if you only care about fantasy football, I promise you will not like it. But thank you again. I really do appreciate you. Really hope you have a great Easter. Hope you're able to spend it with friends and family, and hope that you have a great day.